those people have a higher incidence of stroke. They had higher stroke rate than the rest. Other studies have found that they also increase your risk for cancers. And then they also increase your risk for kidney diseases. What that means for your health, what is my take on this? Welcome to today's video. This is Dr. Droteng again coming to you for today. We're going to talk about why artificial sweeteners may be poison to you. We're going to first talk about a study that actually looked at the harmful effects of artificial sweeteners. And after that, we're also going to talk about what they found in the study, how the study was done, what they found in the study. And then next, we're going to talk about what that means for your health. And then lastly, we're going to talk about my own take on artificial sweeteners. So stick to the end of the video. If you need to skip to any portion of the video, you can do that. September of 2022, a study was published by Nutrinet, and they actually looked at over 100,000 people, 103,000 people, 80% of which of the people were women, and the average age of these people were 42 years. How was the study done? The study was observational. Many people self-reported what they did in their own lifestyle, how much artificial sweetness they took, and they were observed for a median of 9 years. And the other thing they did was that the people involved or the volunteers in the study would report any issues of health as they went for their annual exams and other stuff that happened. They would self-report them. They also reported how much artificial sweetness they used daily. And in the study, what they found was that these volunteers were drinking about a quarter cup of diet soda or diet soft drinks daily. And also that translates into one packet of an artificial sweetener, on the table, table packet that we use a day. 37% of the population, which is about 103,000 people, 37% were regularly using artificial sweeteners in the form of either packets, table packets that we use of all the names that you can think of, or diet drinks. They also answered questions twice a year in the form of a questionnaire that was sent to them so that they would answer a few questions relating to their health and also relating to definitely their dietary intake of sweetness. When they observed these people, what actually did they see in this group of people who were using artificial sweeteners consistently? What they found was that about 9% of the people who consistently used the artificial sweeteners had an increased chance of getting heart disease, an increased risk of having either heart attack or any form of heart disease, whether it is a heart attack or coronary artery disease did not culminate in a heart attack, but 9% increased risk of having heart disease. And the other thing they found is the people who regularly used artificial sweetness also had an 18% increased risk of developing or having a stroke. Apart from these findings, they also saw some unequal risk. In other words, some risks that were tailored or that were small depending on what kind of artificial sweetener you used. And so let's look into those. So when people used aspartame, which is a form of artificial sweetener, which is NutriSweet or equal, those people have a higher incidence of stroke. They had higher stroke rate than the rest. So they're all using artificial sweeteners, all right, but if you use aspartame, your risk or chance of getting strokes increased more than in other groups who used a different kind of artificial sweetener. The other kind of artificial sweetener they also saw a risk with is acesulfame, which is also found in Sonnet and Sweet 1. Those people had higher or increased risk of heart disease. And another group of artificial sweeteners also called the sucralose, which is in our Splendor, commonly used here. Those people also had a higher rate of heart disease. So acesulfate and sucralose were the ones that were seen more in the people with heart disease. The other one, which is the aspartame, is the one that was associated more with strokes. Regardless of whether you remember which one is in your sweetener or not, the results that showed that they found was that they were both linked with increased risk of heart disease and increased risk of stroke, in particular with stroke being 18%. The World Health Organization also acknowledges the fact that this association or this link has been found in several studies. This seems to be the study with the huge population, probably the most robust so far. The other thing that I have to draw your attention to is that artificial sweeteners, other studies have found that they also increase your risk for cancers. And then they also increase your risk for kidney diseases. What is my take on this? So from my perspective, if you are using any of these artificial sweeteners, I would encourage you to stop immediately or as soon as possible, or at least to cut down as soon as possible. If you stop drinking sodas and thought that regular soda was harmful, so you're going to switch into diet soda, you are getting another form of risk. Even though you stop the regular sodas, which had more of a sugar that you thought was harmful, but switching to diet soda is not the solution. That also means that you will need to find out different sources of sweetness apart from these three that have been mentioned that may not be harmful. Now, if you need to use sugar but you cannot use the regular sugar that we all know, what you could do is to use natural sources of sugar or natural sources of sweetness. And the quick one that comes to mind is dates, right? Dates or dates. Those are sweet, and you could use them in stuff that you want to actually taste some sweetness. That is natural. That doesn't mean it solves the entire problem. The problem can be solved if you can completely stop eating sugars altogether. If you have been told that you need to lose weight and you're trying to find a way out, cut down on your calorie intake, you do not have to stick to using artificial sweeteners. Sometimes using the artificial sweetness for you to feel the taste, the amount that you need, you may actually get more calories there, to be able to feel the taste. So you would rather be better off not using sugars at all, or maybe using regular sugar, but to a minimal amount, which is not going to have all these other harmful effects. In our next video, we're going to talk about how they even cause these problems. And we say, beloved, we wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers.